I think one of the things I enjoy the most about producing Wild Harvest is giving you some tips and some techniques. However, you cannot stop there. This is just the open door through which to travel. The truth of the matter is, to gather safely and responsibly is to seek out a local expert. Start with your books, go online, but find a local expert, someone who's passionate about wild edible plants, and have them teach you the safe and responsible ways to enjoy the wild harvest. You know, for a few hundred years in North America, we cut down forests and established farms. The farms would eventually fail, turn back into forests, and sometimes through neglect, become beautiful, massive fields of wildflowers. I always encourage people to go and gather in their own backyard, side of their driveway, on the local gravel pit, but I have to admit, it sure is nice to know someone who owns a farm and not only allows for the beautiful wildflowers to continue to grow, but actively encourages the wild harvest. Well, truth be told, I'm suffering from option anxiety right now. There are so many amazing wild edibles to pick from. There's milkweed and mint, there's wood sorrel and mallow. Every step I take, I see another wild edible. But once I saw this guy right here, I wanted to stop. This will be the greenery that I offer up Paul. Quick story. The first ever survival course that I took, yes, I took survival courses. I go into the local college, I'm in the classroom, and I'm excited to learn about shelter building and fire starting and wild edible plants. We leave the classroom, we walk down into this little valley. The teacher comes up and there's a bunch of different plants, and he points down at one plant. And this is the very first plant he points at. He says, Lambsquarters. And I pick a leaf, and the very first wild edible plant leaf that I ever ate was lambsquarter. And I was hooked, because it's delicious. There's one kind of wild edible that is very, very difficult to gather, and that is any kind of juicy, ripe berry. The reason why it's difficult is because you try filling up your hat full of those and then not eat them before you get home. Yeah. I can't pass up a patch of red raspberries that are ripe and ready to go. So it's a treat. I better do a taste test. Wow, that's delicious. And that's also really dangerous. The minute you do a taste test on a ripe berry that you're picking, it won't be the last one that goes in your mouth. Now, I think what I will do is follow through on a theme here. I'm picking Paul some raspberries, so why not also bring home the leaves and twigs and make some raspberry tea? Perfect. This is a place called Headwaters Farm. It's actually operated by friends of mine, because it just so happens they keep bees. Keep in mind that honey is every bit the wild harvest as much as the flowers and trees that it comes from. This is actually only the first time I've ever done it this way. I did it in Sri Lanka and I did it in Namibia. But there I was half naked, putting my arms up trees full of bees. This feels a little safer, I hope. Hang on. That's beyond words. Paul's gonna love this. Okay, here we go. This is a beautiful crop. You know, there's a reason why so many wild edibles are found on the edges of driveways and sidewalks, the edge of your yard. Of course, one is because you're not running the lawnmower there, but the other one is that those are disturbed areas. And this is the magic of wild edible plants. You find them primarily in disturbed areas. And how do they get there? Well, first of all, you got to have the disturbance. And that could be anything from you with a shovel to construction work that was being done. When roads go through, everything is stirred up. And then along comes a bird who's just eaten some wildflower from miles away, lands in the disturbance, the seed is there, and then it grows. And you end up with this wonderful crop of lamb's quarters. See, gathering from the wild harvest is all about getting to the edges of your properties. Look at that. Paul's gonna love this. This is a boom crop right here. Bust and boom, this is boom. Beautiful. Okay, Paul, come on in.
How goes?
It goes well. Ready for the reveal?
I am. I've got to be honest, after being out in the garden and seeing how many options there are out there, I'm a little bit nervous just in how many ingredients you're going to give me today.
Yeah, believe me, when I was out there, it's like, well, I could go with this, I could go with this, I could go with that, and every time I took another step, there'd be something else that was edible. All right, well, let me show you what I did decide to go with for the wild edibles. I held to 3. So this is our bulky plant, but it's very special to me, and I'll tell you why. This is lamb's quarters, and I just love it. Rich in calcium, rich in iron, vitamin A, it's proteins, fats, carbohydrates. This is a wonderful, we'll call it a roadside plant. People call it a weed. They pull it all the time, and yet it's delicious. Loves to grow in disturbed areas. It comes up around most people's gardens. It's ubiquitous, it's prolific. It's just the best. You already knew that I went after honey, which, by the way, was a great experience. Randy suited me up. We went in, and true to form, you know, after a while with the bees, you start to realize there is a relationship going on between the bees and the beekeeper. Obviously, keeping bees is far more complicated and a lot more fun than I anticipated. So I'm sure one day I will keep bees because that was a wonderful experience. This stuff is liquid gold, as they say.
Look at it. It's at ambient temperature and it's just oozing.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Last but not least, our third ingredient. They were ripe, they were in season. Yeah, raspberries.
Oh, there's some magic.
Okay.
Look at how small those are.
I know. Go ahead. So you know that flavor.
That's like candy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave you to it, and then I have a surprise for you.
The first thing I noticed about these lamb's quarters is the flavor is reminiscent of kale to me, but it's much more tender. Now this honey, I've got to get my finger in there. Look at that. That is so fresh. It sort of activates all of my senses, not just on my palate, but it's got my whole body tingling. That's a gift from Mother Nature that we're so lucky to have. And speaking of lucky to have, these little raspberries. And you can just pick them straight off the bush. It's the only way to eat raspberries, in my opinion. And the flavor really does remind me of candy. Incredibly sweet, a little bit tart, a bit of heaven. Oh man, so good. Throughout my career, I spent so much time augmenting ingredients, changing something into something else, and it was really playful, and it was really what I wanted to do as a young cook. But I found with time, my appreciation really fell into the quality of the ingredients, the flavor that's there, the celebration of that moment in time when they're harvested. And that really became the focus of how I cook.
Hey, Paul?
Yeah.
You done exploring the ingredients I brought you?
I have a good grip on them.
Okay. Surprise time. Come on, let me show you something.
You scare me when you say that, Les.
I know. Okay. Come on in through here, Paul. Kind of wanted to take advantage of the spirit of Headwaters, of this farm. Now you can see it's actually a bit of a community affair. People come here to garden their own little spots, to work and help with all the different plants that are growing and other people who are gardening. What I want to do for you is open up this entire garden to you.
Okay.
Aha,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
That might change a few things, right? So what it means is you have your 3 ingredients that I got you, the lamb's quarter, the honey, and the raspberries, right? We still want to focus on those. That's what I want to highlight, all right? And that's what I want you to highlight in the kitchen. However, to expand, your capabilities here and just to give you that many more options, when you need something, come out here. It's all for the taking.
What a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift. This is amazing. For my raspberry Dutch baby, it's right back to using that batter, the 3 ingredients, the egg, the flour, and some milk. This time, the proportions will be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker than a crepe batter. It is kind of a pancake batter and almost the same texture as a Yorkshire pudding batter. But when I bake that, it's now the delivery system of raspberries and honey. Next comes the flour. I am augmenting this recipe ever so slightly. I'm adding just a pinch of sugar because I don't want the neutralness, the bland flavor of the pancake to take away from the sweetness of the honey. So I'm just gonna build up the sweetness in the pancake, believe it or not, to show off the honey. I have to let it stand now. 20 minutes is perfect, a little bit longer, even better. So having this fresh mint in abundance, definitely have to take advantage of. Mint has that real hint of green freshness. And if you think of green flavor, mint is it. Nice and hot. Time for the batter. Now back in to bake. I'm going right on top of the coals now. I need that heat. I'm watching it. I've got a big air bubble, which is super cool while it's cooking. There we go. It's cooked. I think I will stop it right there. Oh, look at those. Clumps of fresh flavor. Last move is the honey. Breakfast!
Hey.
Got a treat for you.
Yeah, I see that. I've been peeking through the window.
So from the moment we arrived, first thing I did is I went to look for that oven. And when I saw the oven, I'm looking at this beautiful piece of handcrafted equipment. On the right-hand side, there's people in a garden, and they're weeding and tending. And on the other side, there's kids playing. And I'm thinking to myself, this is awesome. This is amazing. So I thought, okay, the best meal, in my opinion, where people like to spend time together and connect is brunch.
Right, okay, brunch, okay, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Is this egg?
This is egg, flour, sugar.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of salt.
So you say like a Yorkshire pudding quiche-like too?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
So what this is called is a Dutch baby. And this is my version of a Dutch baby. In this case, I wanted to show off the color of the raspberries, accentuated with a little bit of mint.
Right. Take one of these.
Yes, sir. There we go.
All right, and then to keep in the theme, this is raspberry tea with a couple of the chunks of the honeycomb, and then a sprig of mint put on top. So we're definitely thematically killing this dish right now. It's awesome. Killing in a good way.
The tea looks great. I love the color. Oh, that's really nice.
That's great.
Oh, that's refreshing.
Yeah, exactly. Refreshing is the word. All right. Let's do some damage to your brunch here. Wow.
It's not often I giggle from a bite of food that I've made. I have not had this flavor profile since I was a kid. That's why I'm laughing. It's the quality of those raspberries.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought of the yogurt part of this either. I think that's brilliant. That's what that is. That's the flavor of childhood right there. Yeah, I hate when you pull off a perfect win, but this is a perfect win. This thing is just like every part of my tongue is saying thank you. The density of it is right on the money. You nailed it, Paul. This is, oh my gosh, it's great.
I see something pretty interesting about these seed pods. I have an idea, something that's interactive for this dish. Lambsquarters reminds me of spinach in a very, very big way. Classic brunch dishes that have all the components, kind of like one meal on a plate, would be a dish with poached eggs called eggs Florentine, which is a spinach-based egg dish. But instead, I have these to work with, and something tells me I'm gonna like using the Lambsquarters better. I think a nice tangy goat cheese sauce will be a perfect thing to add to the eggs and the sauteed Lambsquarters. First, I need to develop some flavor, and that's always easy to do with bringing some onions into the pot. Slow down the cooking process by adding some water. Now it's time to add some heavy cream. Return to heat and simmer. One thing I learned the hard way when poaching eggs is if you crack the egg straight into the water, there's a good chance that you're gonna break the yolk. You never wanna do that. So the trick there is crack the egg into a separate dish, and you can get all of the eggs lined up that you wanna poach in place, ready to go. When it comes to the water and poaching eggs, I just want the water to be boiling, drop the temperature a little bit, and poach the eggs in very hot water. That's how you get that perfect poached egg. Now just a quick finger test to make sure that the whites are cooked and the yolks are still nice and runny. So the big thing about a poached egg, you don't really want to have it wet from the water bath that it was cooked in. You want it to be nice and dry. It's the cooking method that makes it special, not the water that it's cooked in. Done. Now time to saute the Lambsquarters. A spoon dropping butter into the pan. And now it's the greens of the onions. Time to add the Lambsquarters. As usual, a little salt, Oh, you can hear them cooking. They're kind of popping. Listen to that. That's something I was not expecting. Quick taste. That's good. The salt is right. No pepper needed. They're shining on their own. All right, back to this sauce. Stir in the goat cheese. My sauce is reducing. The idea is to simmer the cream until the water evaporates, and as that happens, the butterfat that's left behind actually becomes emulsified and thickens. It's so creamy, so smooth, and so delicious. It's the foundation of so many great dishes. Let that reduce a couple more minutes, thicken up just a slight bit, and then I'll season. So a really nice treat came our way. Tony, one of our hosts, made some beautiful bagels in the wood-fired oven. I have to capitalize on these. Time for the poached egg. You have to be gentle with these. You don't want to lose that yolk. That's it.
Wow. Wow, it's beautiful.
Garnishing that plate took me a long time.
Okay.
It's about picking the flowers and finding the right flavors. And this plate came from here. I thought I had to take that story of the diversity of this farm to this dish. So the bagel that's there, Tony made in that oven that's outside.
Okay.
The eggs came from the chickens just across the ravine. The lambsquarters, you grab those for me.
That's for you, exactly.
And then just to add a little bit of fun to this dish, the borage blossoms that are outside.
Oh, in the garden?
Yeah, they're
in the community garden.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
They're nice and purple in color, so I thought they would be great for this dish, just to make the other colors pop.
Interesting, okay. Shall we?
Let's do this.
Wow.
So as you get in to the middle of the bagel, to that hole, that's where I put a little bomb of the lambsquarters.
Okay.
So it's kind of like one of those jelly-filled donuts, but it's not a donut and it's not jelly.
It's way healthier. Oh, I think this is officially the nicest bagel meal I've ever had. There's a lot happening there. And I think that's one of the beauties of having a meal that is, well, it's deceptively complex, I think. It looks simple. It's a bagel with a topping and some egg, but it's so much more, and my tongue is telling me that. You know, there's a cliche that I hear all the time when it comes to enjoying food, and they'll say, oh, well, I can taste the mountains. I can taste the earth of that area, or in this case, I can taste the farm. That's a win, Paul. Full-on win.
It might just be one of the best bagels I've ever had.
It really is awesome. Yeah. You know, I spent a full year once living in a remote forest with someone. And if there was anything that kind of solitude taught me, it was that survival, that's one thing. But to thrive, you need a community. Now, Tony and Linda Armstrong are friends of mine, and they run this place, Headwaters Community Farm. I haven't seen them in years. I had no idea they were surrounded by this kind of beauty, and I especially did not know that they had this much wild harvest. So get to know your local farmer, get to know your family farms that are close by. Become friends with them, because becoming part of a community is one of the greatest ways to enhance your wild harvest.